we provide to businesses. We call it the Facebook contest leads machine. What I would say to him is that, listen, why don't you do this? You give away the Invisalign braces as a prize, which is the $5,000 invisible braces that kids put on their teeth. We would do a campaign. We'll do a campaign on Facebook and we'll say to parents, listen, how would you like to win invisible braces for your child? The only people who would enter that contest have got children with crooked teeth. You don't enter a contest to win braces if you've got perfect teeth.
Yeah.
In this particular instance, it was a dentist who was opening up a practice. He spent $30 a day on Facebook, so that's $210 over the week. He got 1,000 leads in that first week, not
That's a
10.
lot.
I mean, that's why this is called the Avalanche leads, not just leads. So he got 1,000. He gave away one of the Invisalign braces, worth $5,000, but cost him half of that. It was 991. He had 991 people, gave away one. And then he had 900 people who he could ring and say, listen, you didn't win the contest, but obviously your children have got crooked teeth. You wouldn't enter the contest if they had perfect teeth. We've got a special deal that if you actually get Invisalign braces, come in and visit us, and you get Invisalign braces before the end of the month, guess what? We'll give you a free holiday.
Welcome to the Genius Talk podcast. I'm your host Atul Raj from thebestemailmarketer.com, and today we have JD with us. JD, thank you so much for joining.
My pleasure, Atul. And if you're wondering why I've got this weird name, JD, it's my initials. My name is John Dwyer, but I get JD. And I was just saying to Atul, I get lots of other names that we can't mention.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so for our listeners who don't know you, can you tell them who you are and what do you do?
Yeah, look, I own a business called the instituteofwow.com. And as that name infers, the Institute of Wow, it's all about teaching. So we're a direct response marketing agency. And what we do is that we teach business owners how to attract new sales by using direct response tactics, rather than just putting their face on the side of a bus or the back of a taxi or sponsoring, the local cricket team. Which is all good stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. That's called brand building. But there's a lot of businesses, of course, that, they want to sell stuff at the same time as building their brand. Because if they get home tonight and the children are around the table and they go, look, Daddy got 150 likes today, the kids are probably going to say, but Daddy, there's no food on the table. We've got to sell some stuff, Daddy. So that's what we're all about. So we're all about advertising on Facebook today and hopefully putting money in the bank tomorrow.
Okay, so how do you define direct response marketing and why it is so effective for fast business growth?
Yeah, look, if you're Coca-Cola or McDonald's or you're Nike or Kellogg's, you probably don't need my services because you've got a brand that you've already built over 20 or 30 or 50 years and, doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of turnover. Whereas if you're a business that's perhaps doing less than, 500,000 or maybe $1 million, then you can't afford to sponsor the Olympics. You can't afford to just put your face or your product on the side of a bus. What you're looking for, and I know because we've spoken to enough small businesses, is you're looking for, instant results from your Facebook advertising or, Instagram or LinkedIn, wherever it might be. And that's what we deliver. So what we do is that we teach people how to highlight their prospect's problem and provide the solution. So direct response marketing is pretty much problem solution marketing. Are you overweight and you're not feeling good about yourself? Well, go on this dietary program. And then, of course, what you show is the before and after. That's direct response. And what you can do when you go through direct response and you show the problem and then you give the answer, you have to have a strong CTA. And that CTA, of course, stands for call to action. And the best way to have a strong call to action is to say to people, look, your problem is this, my solution is this. If you get in by Friday, we'll give you a free vacation. Okay. And so therefore, I'm just using that as an example, but what we teach people is to have a Happy Meal toy to get buyers across the line. And so therefore, whether it's a free vacation or whether it happens to be a movie pass or a dining voucher, obviously that's a decision you have to make. But what we're saying is that once you've actually got someone interested in the fact that you can fix their problem, give them something as an incentive to get them off the fence.
Okay, so what do you think most business owners misunderstand about direct response marketing?
Look, direct response marketing is not used by many businesses at all. Most businesses just drop their pants. They drop their prices. I mean, that's the easiest way to make money, but it's the easiest way to take your brand through the toilet as well. So, unless you're Kmart and your business is built on price discounting, you don't want to be price discounting because you want to maintain margin. And the best way to do that is to take their eyes off the price. And McDonald's have done that for 44 years. I happen to know the people who came up with the Happy Meal toy. 44 years ago. They now live in Trump Tower in America because they've done pretty well out of the toys. And McDonald's, they have a very clear objective with that promotion. You buy the Happy Meals for your children, and you probably don't know what they cost because the toy takes your eyes off the price. And Amazon do that at the moment. If you become a member of the Amazon Prime membership, they will give you all sorts of benefits. They will give you free movies and free music and free shipping and all sorts of stuff. And of course, you then forget about what you paid to join the Prime membership club because they've taken your eyes off the prize with all of the goodies.
Okay, so what are the most common mistake business owners make with client attraction and marketing?
Not having a proper message to market match. Okay, so let's say, I'm a baby boomer. So let's just say I walk into a menswear store and I buy a suit. Okay, I buy a suit. And they say to me, "Congratulations, JD. You look good in that suit. Here's your free skateboard." I would go, "What? I'm not going to be riding a skateboard at this age." And so therefore they got the incentive wrong. That incentive made no sense. If they gave me a dining voucher or, a double pass to the movies, then that would make sense. So what I find that most people do, firstly, they don't use direct response marketing. They're too busy just putting their face on the side of a bus. But secondly, if they do, they don't have the right message to market match. And so, the thing is that if you're dealing with an upmarket audience, chances are that your wow factor might be a watch. You give them a beautiful, limited edition watch if they buy the BMW car. If it happens to be a working class person, then the value add or the incentive that you might give is something like a 3-day vacation. And the only reason I'm holding that up is that some years ago, I had a bank client in Australia, and what we did is we took everybody's eyes off the price by saying, "Look, swap your home loan across to this particular bank and we'll give you a free holiday." I know I'm not sure in India, do you guys call it vacation or holiday?
Like both. Yeah.
Pretty much. In America, they call it vacation, And so anyway, this went nuts. It absolutely went crazy. People were swapping their home loan in droves and coming from the banks across to this particular one to get the free holiday. And that took their eyes off the price. Little did they know that the interest rate from this bank's home loans was higher than any other bank in the world. So they had the highest interest rate in the world, but because they gave away a free holiday, people swapped over to get the Happy Meal toy. And I got Jerry Seinfeld to do the ads. And so therefore I'd fly backwards and forwards to America and we get Jerry Seinfeld to do all the TV ads, the comedian. And when you get someone as big as that to do your ads, then of course it's no longer a secret. At the end of that campaign, I had a travel company contact me just before COVID actually. And they said, "Look, we've got access to unsold rooms all around the world. We're talking India and Pakistan, and we're talking Europe and America and everywhere around the world. And these hotels outside of school vacation period, they have unsold rooms and they give those rooms to us for free. And we figure that businesses could use them as a Happy Meal toy." And they said, "You're a marketing company and we've seen your Seinfeld ads. So therefore, would you like to join forces?" And I said, "Yeah." So that's what we've done since just before COVID. I mean, obviously throughout COVID, we sat on our hands, but we say to businesses, "Look, we can give you a $1,000 voucher that will provide people with a 3 to 7 night vacation in India and Pakistan and Europe and all sorts of places. And you only have to give us $50. So we actually give them the Happy Meal toy from heaven, a voucher that lets people go on a vacation for 3 to 7 nights. And it's worth $1,000, but we give it to them for $50. And the reason I'm going through this is because the reason that McDonald's incentive works is they make that toy in China for 22 cents. But when someone gets it out of the box at McDonald's, it looks like it's a $5 toy. So the importance is that it's a low cost, but a high perceived value. And that's what this is. This is a low cost, $50 for a 3 to 7 night vacation, and yet it's worth $1,000. So that's why it works.
What wow factor strategies have generated the fastest sales growth for your clients?
Oh, the fastest?
Yep.
Without doubt, this. Anyone wants to have a look at it, just go to vacationsincentive.com and you can have a look at how it works. So there's a full description there of it. I think there's a video of me talking about it. So vacations, plural, vacationsincentive.com. This by far works. And even Seinfeld, when he was doing the TV ads for me, he said, "Gosh," he said, "that must be working." I said, "Yeah, like crazy. It's working already. But when we put your name against it, you can imagine it went through the roof." The reason it works, a vacation or holiday works, is because it suits a 25-year-old, a 35-year-old, and a 95-year-old. You don't get many things that do that because if you give me a skateboard, then I'm not going to use it, right? If you give me a dining voucher for $50, I know that you've just valued me at $50. If you give me movie tickets, I know that you've just valued me at $50. You give me this, and I know that it's valued at $1,000 or maybe more. but it only costs you $50. So that's, again, comes back to a low cost but a high perceived value.
Mhm.
That's number one. Probably if you said to me, look, what's number two in terms of incentives, I'd probably say something, again, that suits all ages, and that would be probably something like a movie pass
Mhm.
or a dining voucher. The other one that really is very successful is a petrol voucher, because,
Petrol.
petrol as in gas station.
Okay, yeah, yeah. By the way, I'm curious to know, how did you get started in direct response?
You mean indirect response? Yeah, look, like everyone, I went to school till I was 17 or 18. And then when I left school, I wanted to be an artist. Now, keep in mind, this is back in the 80s, of course. And so therefore, because I was pretty handy at drawing, I thought,
Mhm.
I'll become an artist. And then once I started to get to university and do some art courses, I could see the internet was coming into play. And I thought to myself, yeah, look, it's no use, I can sketch things and put together. I thought, no use becoming an artist, because one day we will be taken over by, little did I know AI was going to come, 30, 40 years later, but nonetheless, and one day, we'll be out of work. So I thought, well, what can I do to actually, I guess, enjoy the creative skills that I thought I had? And it just made sense to move into advertising. So, I ended up working for an advertising agency when I was young. And what I found, they were very creative, but again, it was brand building. It was all about brand building. And then I got a job with Woolworths, and it won't mean anything to you because you're in India, but Woolworths is the major supermarket chain in Australia. It's a massive company. And I ended up becoming the marketing manager. And when I was there, they allowed me to test all sorts of promotions. So what we would do is we'd have scratch games. To win $1 million, you'd get a ticket every time you spent $10. You'd scratch it out to see if you won the million. We had promotions where you would actually adopt little teddy bears. You'd actually, for every $50 you spent, you could adopt a little teddy bear for, $1.99. We had programs whereby every time you spent $10, you got a stamp. And this was back pre-digital. You'd lick the stamp and put it onto a saver sheet, and you'd get cookware and glassware for special prices. So I could see all of these direct response things working, because I could see the turnover go through the roof. Every time we put
Mhm.
on one of these promotions, the turnover just went nuts. Whereas if we just had the traditional advertising on TV, which would say, come to Woolworths, the fresh food people, it was flatline. And I thought, hang on, why don't I leave and set up something myself and do all of this stuff? Scratch games and win $1 million and teddy bear promotions and all. And that's what I did. So, after the training that I got at Woolworths, I left and set up my own business. And it was called the Dynamic Ideas Company. The acronym wasn't very smart, DIC. Anyway, the Dynamic Ideas Company. And yeah, so that's what we did. And of course, I sold that business after a few years. And now our business is called the Institute of Wow.com.
Okay, what's the best direct response book have you ever read?
I am going, The Purple Cow by Seth Godin is probably it. But my version of that, the guy's name is Seth Godin, Seth Godin, Godin, and his book is called The Purple Cow. And the reason that it's called The Purple Cow is that he's a version of me. He's a direct response guy in America. He was driving along in the country one day with his wife. He's about my age, probably. And he saw a whole bunch of cows, and he stopped. And his wife said, what are you stopping for? He said, imagine if in all those cows, do you think they all look the same? And she said, yes. He said, imagine if one was purple. And she said, well, that would stand out. And so that's his version of direct response. You've got to stand out by being unique. My version of it is the Avalanche leads formula. So therefore, when I hit the seminar circuit about 10 years ago. And of course, I've milked the daylights out of the Seinfeld thing, of course. And so that gets me quite a few gigs. And yeah, so therefore, you'll see on the back of the book here, I make sure that Jerry and me are on the back.
Yeah.
But this is called the Avalanche leads formula. And so I actually teach people how to get leads. And then because if you're doing seminars, they expect you to do more books. So this one here is a bit bigger.
Yeah.
This is called the Wow Manifesto. This is the size of a tabloid newspaper, and this book alone costs $420 to print, just to print the book, right? Because it's gold edged, and it's got leather around.
Yeah. Yeah.
We give it out as an electronic product there. No, but I'm not going to spend $400 on a book. But
Uh-huh.
inside here, it's about 250 pages of direct response ideas that, when people get it, it's a pretty handy coffee table book. But the thing is that I have to say to you is that 97% of businesses in the world do not use direct response because their advertising agency just tells them to build their brand.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so for our listeners who want to get that book, where can they go?
Just if you wanted to get it, just simply go to bookofwow.com. Bookofwow.com, if you wanted to put that in the chat.
Okay, so both book will be available there, right?
So this one is the small book is bookofwow.com. Okay. And wow is WOW. So bookofwow.com. And if you want the other one, then just go to, what is it? It's the wowmanifesto.com /free. Wowmanifesto.com /free.
Okay. So if you're launching a brand new company today, what three things would you do to ensure rapid customer growth?
You're talking any company, not one in a particular genre?
Any company.
Any company? Okey dokey. Look, I've come from an era where it was television, radio, newspaper, magazines, letterbox drops, and we live in a different world now. So the beauty of the world that we live in is that if you make a mistake, you can fix it straight away. Whereas back in the day when you were launching a product or launching a business and you put ads in the newspaper or the magazines, you had to wait for a month until you could change that ad. So I always caution people that when they are thinking about a launch campaign, perfection is the enemy of good enough. Okay. So therefore, at the end of the day, if you make a mistake, you can fix it on Facebook or YouTube tomorrow. That's the good thing. What I would do, if it's a difficult question to answer in terms of like any business, because every business is different. But if it happened to be a commodity business, so you were opening up a furniture store and you had lounge suites and dining tables and things like that, or if you're setting up something that might be an electronics business, so it's computers and so forth, what I would do with this is that I would make sure that I advertised, of course, on social media, and I would have a contest to give one of my products away as a prize. And so, for example, let's just say, okay, I'll give you an example. Say it was a dental business that was setting up. It was a dentist. He's going to open up a dental practice. We have a system that we provide to businesses. We call it the Facebook contest leads machine. What I would say to him is that, listen, why don't you do this? You give away the Invisalign braces as a prize, which is the $5,000 invisible braces that kids put on their teeth. We would do a campaign. And I'm telling you this because it happened a month ago. We'll do a campaign on Facebook and we'll say to parents, listen, how would you like to win invisible braces for your child if they've got crooked teeth? The only people who would enter that contest have got children with crooked teeth. You don't enter a contest to win braces if you've got perfect teeth, right?
Yeah.
In this particular instance, it was a dentist who was opening up a practice. He spent $30 a day on Facebook, so that's $210 over the week. He got 1,000 leads in that first week. 1,000. Not 10. I mean, that's why this is called the Avalanche leads, not just leads, right? So he got 1,000. He gave away one of the Invisalign braces, worth $5,000, but cost him half of that. It was 991. He had 991 people. He gave away one, and then he had 900 people who he could ring and say, listen, you didn't win the contest, but obviously your children have got crooked teeth. You wouldn't enter the contest if they had perfect teeth. We've got a special deal that if you actually get Invisalign braces, come in and visit us, and you get Invisalign braces before the end of the month, guess what? We'll give you a free holiday.
Yeah, that was a really good strategy.
So that's why a lot of my clients call me Evil, Dr. Evil from Austin Powers.
I like that name.
You know what? I had a client that surprised us that this particular client sells the wheelie walkers, for elderly people. And he said to me, look, do you think the contest thing would work? I said, well, let's give it a shot. These wheelie walkers for people who, need some assistance with walking, they're about $800. So we ran a contest on, Facebook and said, win a wheelie walker. Now, because these people are in their 70s and 80s, I was even a bit dubious about how many of them are on Facebook. He only spent $40 a day. So by 7 days, that's $280. He got 822 leads in the first week, gave one of the wheelie walkers away, and then he had 821 to follow up. He couldn't get to them. His brain exploded. He could not get to 820 people fast enough. And you got to get to them quickly because you don't want them to go cold.
Yeah.
And again, you ring them up and say, listen, you didn't win, but obviously you want some walking assistance. And so therefore we've got a special deal for you. So we just put our AI robot onto it. So the AI robot, who was a very attractive female voice, rang the 880 people in 2 hours.
That's really great. So I'm guessing there are a lot more lead advance ideas on that book.
Yeah. Oh, there's excuse the language, but there's a shitload. Yes.
Okay. So for our listeners who want to connect with you, want to get help from you, where can they go?
Probably just email me. Email me, John at theinstituteofwow.com, and it's JOHN. So it's John at theinstituteofwow.com. But if they wanted to have a look at the stuff that we do, just go to theinstituteofwow.com website. And I would suggest what you might like to do, because you could be on there for a day. It's a pretty big website. What I've done, Atul, I've collected everything over the years. My wife hated me for this. Before digital came in, you can imagine every time we moved house, because we had 6 kids, we had to keep on getting bigger houses.
Yeah.
I had to take my 3 filing cabinets with me, and she's going, "Oh, would you get rid of that stuff? Would you please get rid of it?" She's quite glad that I didn't, because as the digital world has come about in the last 20 years, I've been able to digitize it and put it onto
Mhm,
websites.
mhm.
And so my website is pretty big, because there is a bucket load of case studies. So, people can swipe the ideas. I'm more than happy to invite them to take the ideas. If they want help, then obviously they know where we are. But if you go onto the institute, theinstituteofwow.com, and go to the
Mhm.
menu bar up the top that says case studies, and you click that, you could be on there for days. All right. There's case study after case study after case study.
Okay, JD, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom with us. And thank you so much for joining.
My pleasure. All the best, Atul.
Yep, it was really fun chatting with you.
Thank you. My pleasure.